back to the GSTL. MMA taking his first win this season.
And harvesting the first lemon.
Yeah.
Not the one that we expected, but it was impressive nonetheless.
It was the one that we deserved.
Yeah. And by the way, guys, in case you were freaking out a little bit earlier and we was like, why are they talking about lemons the entire time? There are special lemons on Fruitland that you can harvest.
Yeah.
Just to shop this.
I'm starting to wonder if this is like actually a conspiracy. Like, we were told, and it was on the news post, that lemons exist, and all the fans think you can harvest lemon, but you can't actually harvest it?
It's an elaborate troll by GOM.
Yeah, like, what if that's actually the case? What if this is all just a ruse, and the players know they're in on it, so they don't harvest lemons? Like, why would they go harvest those lemons? There's nothing comes out.
Yeah, like, if that was actually the case, like, one of the players would also already have used, like, a couple of units to just run around the lemon in a circle, like, the entire time, like, on patrol, and tease us, and we're like, ah!
By the way, try HOT6 if you haven't before. If you have any access to that, you have a Korean mart near where you live, or you're in Korea and you haven't tried it, I recommend it. I'm drinking one right now, the light version.
Did we have Hooligan HOT6 guy today?
Actually, no.
I don't think he sprayed us.
Yeah, I don't think we had that.
Where was the tagging? It was nothing.
It's
but
really,
they changed the design of the light version, Cam.
Yeah, it used to be just a slightly lighter version, but now it's more obvious. I kind of like that. The pink one is okay. It doesn't actually... I drink it with soju a lot, and it doesn't actually look pink when you pour it. It's kind of the same color.
I would really like to drink it, but the thing is, apparently you're only allowed to drink it if you have a huge afro, and I just don't qualify. So.
Well, you once did.
Does that count, though?
Yeah, I think so, actually. Well, we've all worn those afros once before.
Okay. Then I'm relieved. Then I can actually drink HOT6 now.
Only Artosis, I think, did not try
Oh, look at that! The man with the stash is back. I love it.
That's a great stash.
And this time we can actually... Oh, here we go. There we go.
Look
Both
at that.
of them. Oh, yeah.
Repping the mustache.
That's what we're talking about.
I think I need to get a mustache now.
We should do that. We should have a mustache day at GOM where we both like grow a beard for like a couple of days, and then we're gonna do that, okay?
Oh, well, all right.
We have to come up with a day, but we're gonna do that at some point.
Isn't one of the villains in the most recent season of Dexter has a mustache too? I don't want to spoil anything, but like, the guy's got a stash, right?
The thing is, I didn't watch the last 4 or 5 episodes because of the surgery. I can't go to the gym, and all the episodes, like everything that I watch, I'll only watch it when I'm doing cardio because I get bored out of my mind if I don't.
That makes sense.
I'm kind of saving it up.
Well, there's probably a stash guy. You'll meet the stash guy later. I hope I didn't spoil anything for you, Keller, the stash guy.
Stash guy, okay. I'm looking forward to the stash guy now. That's going to be fun.
Whirlwind is the map that was chosen by Deer, and that's a great map for him because it's late game oriented. And if you let Deer get 3-3 Storm and some Colossi, it doesn't matter what you do, you're probably going to lose the game.
Dude, like, Deer is such a beast. This game is going to be so good, especially after what MMA showed us in the last game. I'm so looking forward to that, and we are getting ready. It is Deer versus MMA, guys.
I think MMA is actually going to do an aggressive build off one base to start, like maybe even fast with a mine drop. Probably not going to see a CC first, I don't think, on this map.
The question is, like, on Fruitland, he ate a lemon. What does he do when he defeats Deer? Uh-oh. I hope there are no live ones here in the studio. That would suck.
Just gonna eat some venison, it's fine.
He hunts down Bambi.
There's no Bambi here, I hope.
Thank God the Prime Dog isn't here. If Warhound was here, he would be in trouble if MMA wins. Guys, we're going into the game. Game number 2 here at the GSTL match. Axiom-Acer up versus Soul. MMA up versus Curve. Here at the GSTL with Keller Wolf. Starting to the bottom left, we have our Terran player for Team Axiom-Acer with a win in game number 1. He brought his team in the lead. It is
Acer MMA.
Very subtle, that grass right there moves to the wind.
Wait, what?
That grass next to the CC, it moves, like it's animated. Very appropriate for Whirlwind. I didn't notice that before.
Okay.
Is it on this one too? Yeah, you see the grass, it's moving.
I know.
I never noticed that before.
Okay, Wolf is fascinated, and we are fascinated by the player to the top right. It is MMA's opponent, starting for Soul, the second Protoss player of the day.
Soul Deer.
Deer with a crazy good record in this matchup, actually. He has a 74% win ratio with 35 maps played, which is pretty incredible.
Yeah.
MMA, as in comparison, has only 61% win ratio, which is still really good in this matchup. Like, don't get me wrong, but 61 versus 74 with this many games played against Koreans of all kind, then that's pretty good.
You know, a lot of Terrans are really struggling in this matchup, dealing with the late game, especially with Storms. That's why you see actually more and more players going for styles like we saw already last game for a faster Storm. MMA just ripped out the Heart, though. He took out the Spotlight Council and the Templar Archives, meaning no more Templar for a really long time. And he used that timing. He knew that there were going to be few Templar out, sniped the ones that there were, and kept pushing and kept attacking until eventually he wore him down.
You know, like, sometimes it's actually just so funny, like, when you have this slap game going on, and usually in a late game, Terran versus Protoss, a lot of times it actually looks like the Protoss player is just slapping the Terran, like, throughout the entire, like, room. But MMA was dodging everything. I mean, he grazed him with the Storms occasionally, but a lot of those Storms in game number 1 actually worked against the Protoss player, eating up the shields of all... Oh, there we go.
There he is. Hey, the pink one this time.
It's Hooligan, Afro, whatever guy.
Like, he gets the cue in his cell phone that he keeps in his afro that goes down to his ears. They're like, all right, coming in 3, 2, and just jumps in and spray paints it.
Does he actually have a name?
He probably does. Santa.
What?
Yeah, no joke. Santa. On his afro it says Santa.
You are kidding.
Unless somebody just
they
spray
called him
painted
Santa?
He looks like he's Santa.
Who came up with that? There's like a Korean marketing department, and they were like, we need a nickname for our mascot. What are we going for? I mean, he gives you, I don't know, let's call him, he gives you something. Let's call him Santa.
He's
They recolored the beard and put it up on his head, or what? I don't get that. Okay, so it's Santa.
I mean, unless somebody just happened to graffiti Santa on his afro while he was sleeping and he can't get rid of it until he cuts his hair, he's Santa, I think.
Okay, like, that's just blowing my mind.
I'll neighbor it later, I'll find out.
They called him Santa. This is just so Korean.
By the way, interestingly enough, we have a third barracks going up for MMA before he added his gas, so he's going to have a lot of marine pressure he can put on early on. And I like that because against somebody like Deer, you don't want to let Deer sit back and build up his empire of Templar all over the place.
Yeah, the one thing that Deer does do in comparison to Trap a little bit different, like he's starting off with his robotics here, so we don't see him going straight into the Twilight Council and Forge with the upgrades we saw a little bit earlier in the game that Trap was playing. Trap, of course, later on also got his own robotics to get his observers out there, but Deer with a little bit of a different build order. It's a massive map, and we have cross position here of all things, so this is usually one of those maps where you have a long and drawn out late game. MMA is just trying to take the map control here, especially, of course, with the center, trying to have the Zalnagat watchtower here to see what's coming. But both of them just keeping it pretty cool for now and pretty relaxed, just trying to find out, okay, are there any probes on the map, any forward pylons, do I have to do something against early aggression of my opponent, which is not going to be the case. You can even see that Deer is getting the second observer now, not only one, but getting the second one too, so it's not going to be like an immortal rush or anything like that.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, MMA has a pretty aggressive push coming out here because he also rushed out the engineering bay. And he's being very careful about making sure no probes come in and see. He doesn't have a third CC. And his biggest concern, of course, is going to be this observer. The observer is going to be the first thing that sees that he has these units coming across the map. And he is actually vulnerable right now. If MMA notices, he can scan and kill the observer before his actual rest of his army is spotted. Looks like it's not going to happen. First few stalkers are actually coming out across the map to try to pick off some of the Marines because he has that observer. A cute idea, but it actually could be a problem.
Yeah, with all the Marines that are streaming into the middle of the map, that could definitely be an issue. 3 Stalkers, on the other hand, if Micro correctly, can do a lot, and he has the observer here, so even the shields are not going to work in his favor, like the line of sight breaker.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. This is a pretty cool idea. Most people would never do something like this. They would just send the observer directly across, and Deer is abusing this observer to surprise those Marines. The Marines are thinking that they're going to have the advantage, but they don't.
With his speed and everything else, a lot of Marines already taken out. He could actually have even taken out more, but he didn't want to try to overcommit here. If he makes a mistake and suddenly loses Stalkers, that would be devastating, so he just takes off a few of the Marines and gains control of the center.
Yeah, once he controls the watchtower, then he sends his observer in, and he already was able to see that there was a big Marine push coming. So for him, he knows that basically everything right now, he has his mothership core out, which has full energy, so he's going to be totally prepared for any sort of defense he needs to make. He's going to see it coming a mile away. And this is great for Deer. A really cool way to approach this. Very quick Mothership Core, Warp Prism rather, coming out here, so he's going to have some potential to harass if MMA does in fact commit to a push with Stim and Combat Shields.
Yeah, and we have now not only the charge upgrade coming in, but immediately the Templar Archive has been started, and we saw in the last game already how much pressure you can build up with Archon and the Zealots with, of course, the charge upgrade. But still, in Trap's favor, in the last game, it didn't really come into play all that much. We could really see how it worked against the Bio Army if caught off guard, when a few Storms really controlled the choke points. But that's, of course, the bread and butter and the backbone of your army, and that's exactly the composition that Dia is heading for now as well. Adding those additional gateways so that he has the production to back that up. But the Warp Prism is on the way and will arrive in a few seconds.
Yeah, this is going to be a big problem for MMA, but the push that he's sending across the map is so strong. Army supply dead even right now, but for these Zealots out of position. And he has Medivac Stim +1.
He didn't see that at all, and now of course he can warp in as well, but the loss of the mining in the main base is already a big issue. The army is still there, and here comes the double Medivac trying to get into the main base. Are there any High Templars for feedback? He's warping in a few now. Storm is a mile away. He doesn't have the upgrades, not even charges ready, and here comes the drop.
He goes in on the edge, goes to scout with 1 Marine, could see the Templar Archives and go for it. It's a bit too late now. Gonna pick off a Zealot, almost gets away, loses almost nothing.
Trying to trap a few units, but not successful. So really nice defense by Dia, who is still aggressive at the bottom left of the map, trying to take down one of the supply depots. Just barely able to get away with his own Warp Prism. With a good repair, he should be able to save the supply depot, but if I'm not mistaken, it actually burned down.
Yeah, it did burn down. Pretty close call there. And I'm liking the position right now a lot for Deer. He's got total map control. He forces MMA to go back. And he's even looking ready to take a third base here with his Storm complete, +2 armor, starting the transition into Colossi. Very smooth game here, not really taking too much damage from MMA's initial drop.
MMA, on the other hand, now in a position where he has a double engineering bay and his armory is about to finish, so he can go into double upgrades. Has still a few units now out on the map that are trying to control everything. His own third is done. So MMA with a really good setup that he has. The third base for Dia is a bit late compared to MMA's. We have the third orbital nearly done for the additional mule. And of course SCV production will kick in a few. And so far I have to say that especially game number 1, MMA has done an exceptional job with defending his satellite bases. If he's able to do that against Dia 2, then he has a pretty good chance of at least establishing himself a very solid position to attack from.
Yeah, I mean, with his third base being up so early right now compared to Deer, that's great for him. It's already starting to work in his favor. He's getting double upgrades, something that Deer is also not able to do right now, so that's going to really, really hurt him in the long run. Even able to get the ship upgrades for his Vikings because he knows the Colossus transition is on the way.
Oh, he has the high ground.
This is not good for Deer. He's going to have to cancel this next. It's a great split here by MMA. Will he save it? Oh my god, he saved it! For now, at least.
Not a lot many units lost here for MMA, but Dia saved the Nexus. It took some hits, but that's not going to be a big problem for him. But the fact remains that MMA is still the one who is attacking, and look at this wall here. MMA is always preparing with supply depots, with the bunker. He's not taking any chances here, and that's exactly what you have to do against a top-tier Protoss player like Dia, because he will send those Zealots in at some point and try to take down your economy.
This is actually, I mean, it seems like common sense, but this is something we do not see all too often in this matchup. Usually people just put a bunker near the command center and they think that's enough. But if you send 6 Zealots over there, it's not enough. And if you have the wall and you repair, it is. So, few Immortals in here. The first Colossus is out. Range is almost done. He's going to try to bully this army in the middle of the map, take control, and defend his third base a little bit more.
And we now have the double upgrades for MMA with the engineering bay that we mentioned earlier. Really important. What we also saw MMA do in game 1, which he most likely will do in this game as well, is getting the second starport so that he's a little bit more flexible with the switches between Vikings and Medivacs. Really important if you want to maintain the flexibility to adjust what your opponent is doing. If he has a switch into Colossi, you want to focus a bit more on the Vikings against the Storms on the other hand. Medivacs are always Storm. Here now we have once again the Zealots running in from a different angle and doing actually a little bit of damage. MMA has to utilize those Marines in the bunker.
Yeah, nice angle here. That was really smart. And if he goes in at that angle, of course, everything is fine. And it actually hurts the bunker, but he does use the Marines, like you said. One Marine goes down, but the attack is finished.
And he's once again setting up the exact same attack that he used against Trap earlier. Here come the 4 Medivacs into the main base. There is one High Templar. Will it see it, though? And here we go, immediately dropping, and there's just not a single feedback. He's trying to use the Storm, but the High Templar is down. So much damage done. The Forge is exposed. That upgrade might never see the light of day. The Templar Archive attack
MMA in a great position.
You already know what they say about history. It has a tendency to repeat itself. And we were watching that happen here. He's even going to get the robotics as well. Lift up and get out. He's got an attack force set up at the third base too. There's too much there, but this is just beautiful play here. And those feedbacks, why were they not there? He had plenty of time. He was distracted by the army to the south, and this is what makes this such a great play. Here come the ghosts leading the charge. Might even put them in the medevac.
I think it was the lemon.
It may be the lemon, man.
That lemon oil, yeah, that gave him the power. Now he's missing his EMPs on the other hand, and that army has to hightail it out of there. But the last attack, that drop was just beautiful. That was art, and he's moving in again, but this time Deer is ready. He's in position. The Zealots, on the other hand, are just clustering up between the mineral patches. They can't do anything. So much DPS currently by MMA, doing a lot of damage and trying to just face those Colossi in the middle. Beautiful dodge on that storm with most of the units. But in the main base, so much damage done, and the entire tech of Deer is nearly gone.
He can't even deal with this with the army he has in the main base. The Temple Archives is exposed again. In fact, he could kill it. He could target it and kill it once more. He goes to the probes instead. Whatever he gets here, it's going to be good for him. +3 armor is on the way right now for Deer. But very shortly, it's going to be 3-3 against 3-1, with armor being what he's got for 3 on Deer's side. MMA lost control of the center of the map for a little while here. He's going to lose 2 medevacs, but really liking his position. He's done so much damage. Really need to see a 4th command center, though, I think, and one's finishing right now.
The upgrades, on the other hand, they are so good for MMA now. He's getting 3 3s. He's on 2-2. He killed the armor upgrade. He killed the armor upgrade that Dia was researching at that point in time. Triple Viking is being produced. We have the double starport that we talked about. We have everything set up for MMA to take game number 2. Dia is definitely not out of this just now. He's at 156 supply against 186, still on 3 bases, getting his 4th, but that was definitely a pretty heavy blow that MMA was able to dish out there.
Yeah, that's very crippling. Nice snipe on the factory. It could mean no more starports later. Some storm attempts here, but here come those 4 medevacs again. This time 5, actually.
No feedback, no victory. There we go, 1 feedback. That's all that he got. And once again, he's going for the Temple Archive, and he's killing the pylons. Steer is in so much trouble. MMA is hitting him everywhere.
He's totally out of position to defend his 4th base as well. These units over here may actually just get it. Great control on the Vikings. Positioning here is everything. He picks off a Colossus. The Nexus survives, but for how long? He's just going to go for another angle here. Picks off a Colossus, getting these Zealots as well.
Someone call the police. Steer is getting murdered here. MMA's on fire today. These drops have done so much. And now in the middle of the map, we have that battle. It might be the final one. There comes the MP. The Vikings in position, and Dia knows he can't attack here. Look at that army supply. 135 against 90, and MMA is not even done.
He's not even done. Nexus completes just in time to get sniped potentially here. If he targets, he should be able to get it. And there it goes down. And he even gets away with some of his units. And Deer is looking like a dead man walking right now. Planetary is going up at the 4th base, +2 weapons for ships, almost complete, adding more ghosts, replenishing his medevac count, adding those command centers for extra mules. MMA is on fire right now, and I don't know if Deer has a fire extinguisher. It doesn't look like it.
At the same time, I have to say that Deer had a bit of a problem when he was with his map awareness, with the mini-map awareness, because MMA was taking huge risks going with those medivacs into the main base. Every single time we had High Templars there for the feedback, he just didn't see.
Yeah.
He saw too late. But if he sees that on the mini-map immediately, or if he has an observer over there, then suddenly there come the feedbacks and all of the medivacs are gone. So MMA playing a little bit risky, but he's being rewarded for it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Great storms here. This is a small victory that kind of turns the tides a little bit as far as map control. He killed a lot of units there for very little cost. And he's going to do the same thing here, barely getting that last Marauder.
Still 4 bases against 3. Here comes the drop in the main base. Again, it's MMA. And he's saying, you don't get tech. Here comes the recall. The only thing that he could do, and it's a good move, but 2 of the Colossi are already gone before anything else happens. In MMA, he gets out of there again, losing a medevac in the process. But still, the better bank, the better upgrades, the better position in the game. Even the sensor turrets at the bottom left to make sure that there's not a run by blindsiding him.
Plating for his planetary, 4 Vikings at a time production, cloaking for his ghosts, another command center completing, putting up to, I believe, 6 command centers in total. Several mules could be dropped at any moment, including scans, which, that's unfortunate. He just barely misses that one. I mean, he's going to get the main base again. It just does not stop. Deer needs to figure out how to deal with this, or he needs to put his tech structure somewhere else, because MMA is really, really capitalizing on these drops that are, like you said, high risk, high reward, and so far they have been rewarding.
Yeah. We see a lot of times Terran players just turning around when they see those High Templars, but MMA was going for it, and for good reason. He's able to make it happen. And still, Dia with pretty good play considering how much tech he lost, how many buildings were sniped by MMA. He is at 200 supply. He doesn't have the bank. He does not have the same amount of tech, but if he crushes this army of MMA once, Dia might be able to snowball.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. He needs just one good engagement. Then he could go out and take out bases, take out some of the production. Great storms here in the north, actually hitting these medevacs. Where are the ghosts? They were trying to get EMPs. Now they're good. Oh, these EMPs have hit every single unit in that Protoss army.
And it's time for the chase. Wolfix moving in, and those Vikings doing their job. Here come a few High Templars with the storms, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Most of the Colossi are already gone. Where is that area of effect damage? It's not there anymore.
There's
a single Colossus, that's not enough.
Not enough, and it's about to go down. The Vikings take it out their last breath here, and that is going to be game, ladies and gentlemen, as MMA takes game 2 with crushing force here, taking out the final army, and Deer had to go and hide in the corner with his tail tucked between his legs defending this one. I mean, this was total destruction of his army. I mean, he made it look so easy.
That was so well done. Once again, the Doom Drop in the main base with the 4 medivacs, and at the same time the Prussia at the third, as we saw in game number 1. MMA, he is everywhere. He took down the tech several times with his opponent, sniping the Templar Archive, sniping those forges, and now it is Dia who is on the verge of losing this game, down to 70 supply against 174, and MMA is already thinking about his next celebration.
He really is. I'm sure he's taking out the robotics again. GG!
MMA, like an avalanche, is crushing Protoss players of Team Soul. Innovation might have been coaching him here a little bit, but whatever his secret is, it was quite impressive. Trap and Dia go down, and Axiom-Acer goes up 2-0.
I don't know how many lemons he's been eating in that team house, but I gotta say, MMA's always had a ton of raw talent, and if he's training well, if he's in the right mindset, he is going to crush base, and that's what it seems like is happening today. Deer looks like he doesn't know what hit him. Deer is so good in this matchup, nobody would have really predicted that MMA takes Deer out like this.
Yeah, that was very, very impressive. Dia is a specialist in Protoss versus Terran, and MMA, I mean, he crushed him. That was brutal. It was amazing. I mean, I'm really happy to see MMA in this shape, but for Dia and especially for Team Soul, this is kind of devastating. This is not how they thought this day would pan out. Being down 0-2 after sending out Trap and Dia, that's not really what you expect, but MMA, he played so well and definitely deserved the victory there.
Yeah, you know, he took big risks with those, I don't know what to call them, like quad drops. He sends 4 medevacs in. He skirts the map. He checks previously with Marines, making sure there's no pylons there to spot him. He goes around the edge where he knows he won't be spotted, and he goes for that tech at the exact timing when Storm is finishing, when he's got that, you know, and he spots both the techs, the Twilight Council and the Templar Archives, gets both, and then in this case got the robotics as well. It's once you lose that, it's like you spent 5 minutes building up your tech and it's all gone in a flash.
And how often do we see Terran players just starting in with the medevac, going for the afterburners, seeing the High Templars, and they're like, oh my god, I have to get out there. He did also not really scan ahead, so at this point, usually that's one of the things where as a Protoss player, you're like, okay, wait a second, he just scanned my main base, okay, most likely there's going to be a drop or something. Didn't really do that.
Yeah.
So at this point, he moves in, he sees the High Templars, but there is nothing. Dia doesn't react in time, and that loses him the game.
Exactly.
Because he doesn't get the feedback stuff, he doesn't destroy 1, 2, or maybe even 3 of those medevacs, and then suddenly his entire main base is infested with Terrans.
Yeah, and that's why it's a good play, is because he's got those units to the south as well, pressuring, and that's where I think Deer got shaky. He was like, oh my god, I get all my force fields and hit these storms at my third base, or I'm going to lose that, and then while he's thinking about that, that's when MMA just boosts into the main base and catches him off guard while he's distracted.
Same play as in the first game.
Yeah.
Exactly the same play that he used there, and it worked so well for him. So, really well done. Good job.
And now Soul is feeling a little bit desperate. They've only got 2 players they can pick. I feel like they're going to use Haiva here. I think that's what they have to do.
Yeah, I could see Haiva. I mean, this is one of those games where it's going to be... everything kind of depends on the next game that they play. If they go down 0-3, then they are in just a horrible position. Because then they are not only up against MMA once again in the last game, they might get all killed, but they are up against just so many players that could win this. Innovation, we haven't even seen him, and he might be the player that they choose second.
Yeah, he certainly could be. Would not be surprised. And we talked about indicators last week. You want to win as well as possible. So, in fact, they have chosen Youngju. This is a player I thought Deer was earlier because I couldn't see very well, but is a newer player, a Zerg player. He is not in the Challenger League. He's not qualified for any leagues right now. It's the first time he's ever played in the Team League here, so we don't know a whole lot about this guy.
Yeah, it's actually a really interesting pick that they have there. I did not really expect to see him at this point.
He must be doing well against Terrans or something, because MMA is on fire right now.
I mean, we talked about it. Both teams have 7 players, so you can prepare snipers, and maybe he is the sniper that was supposed to take down Innovation, that was to take down a Terran player just in general.
Yeah.
So that might be the thought process. Obviously, if you go 0-2, something went already wrong. You're not at plan B anymore. This is already plan C, if you ever had one.
Exactly.
So that's improvising, and the coach must be thinking now, well, that didn't work. What I have to hope for now is one of my players getting on a roll here and being able to just take down several players in my opposing team.
And this guy's got to be prepared to do what it takes. If he has nerve issues, because the first time he's playing in this studio, there's a pretty big crowd here today. If he has any nerve issues at all, he's playing against MMA, who's a huge fan favorite. So many people in the audience cheering for him right now. He is the favorite. Going up against somebody like that, it can get into your head, so he's really got to stay focused right now.
Crank already thinking about the next player, talking to Ryung here, talking to the rest of his team, thinking about, okay, what happens if MMA loses? Who's going to be player number 2? Who will take on this guy? And what map are we going to pick if it comes to that? So they're already thinking about it, developing the strategy for the rest of the team match. And that could be exactly what they need. If MMA loses here, the next player might be able to not only take him out, but they're in such a great position now to take this team match today.
Yep. Well, this is really, really tense for Soul, because for me, this Zerg player that we have, I don't know how well he's going to fare against MMA. I actually don't think this was the right choice.
Like a month ago, Young Joe actually played against Hart and lost to him with an 0-2. So that was the last game that he played against a Terran player. So at this point, we don't really know how strong he is in the matchup. We're going to find out later.
What league is that actually? Do you know what league that was?
I actually don't know what they played back then. That was like in at the end of July.
Could have been a qualifier match for Code actually.
It might have been a qualifier. I don't know exactly what it was, but going 0-2 against Hart, I would say that MMA in general is a little bit better than Hart in the matchup. But well, we're going to find out. There has to be a reason.
Yeah, there has to be a reason.
If you talk about the more accomplished players on the lineup, then you would definitely say, okay, we're going to see Haiva here compared to like Youngju. But maybe he was the one who was just preparing for this specific matchup and trying to make that happen. There is a lot of preparation that goes into these matches, and the smaller the lineup of the teams that are participating in a team match, the better your chances are to really have like in-depth knowledge of who's good at a certain matchup, who's bad at a certain matchup, and devising a strategy that works really well. But that strategy already went to hell for Seoul, so they have to just hope on someone. And if maybe Innovation was the one that was supposed to be sniped by, I mean, Zerg of all people, I don't know, but like if that was the idea, then maybe they're just switching Terran players to snipe now.
Yeah, I just hope this guy's got something really special planned, or he's got a good just overall knowledge of this matchup that we haven't seen yet, because like you said, going 0-2 against Hart is not on MMA's level, and Frost is the map he's chosen. It just doesn't scream to me like he's got a big plan. I think he's just going to try to play straight up. And MMA is going to have to shift gears a little bit. He's probably preparing more for the Protoss side of things, and now he is going to have to change things up a little bit. So that could affect how this game is played out.
However MMA plays here, he already did what he was supposed to do and so much more. Taking out 2 of the best players that are currently on the Seoul lineup, he brought his team not only in the lead, but in the 2-0 lead. So Crank on the bench has now all freedom in the world. He can think about, okay, who do I send out next? Will we see Innovation later? And it's a great position for him to be in. He has so many options right now.
Yeah.
You can't get condescending in this situation, but at the same time, it gives you a lot more wiggle room that you have when you go down 0-1 or 0-2. So the Seoul coach is in a lot of trouble at this point and has to think about something. And he's definitely just hoping for one of his... I feel at this point there's no right choice anymore.
Yeah.
It's not like with the 7-player lineup where we have a lot of newer players, you have the freedom to just choose between so many good players, so much talent, so you have to do something. And in this particular scenario, I feel he's just throwing a play out that says, like, Coach, I feel I can do it, but he's just crossing his fingers and is being like, please do it.
Yeah, please do it. You know, we need to at least find out what their second step is, because we've got 4 players to take out. They only have 2, and you're one of them. If you fall, then we're on our last legs, and they have 3 other players to call upon. So please do this, at least this, you know, take out MMA here. This guy is potentially a sniper, but he's no Haiva, right? I mean, Haiva is just overall a better player, has better results. So they may want to be saving Haiva for last. I don't know what the plan is here, but he's not in the lobby. He's hiding.
Yeah, apparently he was just setting up his gear. We don't know exactly what's going on right now, but he was invited earlier and he declined the invitation, so maybe he didn't set up his gear, which would be a little bit surprising since the match between MMA and Dia took a few minutes. I'm not quite sure how long exactly, like maybe 15 minutes, so there should have been enough time for him to set up everything. He was, of course, already chosen before the match, at least I would suppose so. So
I just asked.
Maybe he has some problems here. Sometimes the players have sound issues, or maybe with his peripherals. We have no clue. So we might get an update a little bit later. But matter of fact is that right now he's not in the lobby just yet. MMA, of course, feels pretty confident right now.
Yeah.
If you win 2 games, you have a lot of momentum going for you.
He's just making jokes in chat with Legend right now because they're the only ones in there about he thinks he's going to get an all kill.
I'm so disappointed that he didn't, like, after the lemon after game 1, I expected something else after game 2.
Yeah, it's like
there has to be something.
I guess he didn't know what map he was going to play on. He wanted to do something for the map, but
okay, with Frost, he could just get some ice cream. I'm going to tell you, like, soon enough so that you don't have to look at it, but, like, yeah. Ice cream on Frost, that would have been one thing. What do you get if you win on Whirlwind? I don't know. There's not really a lot that comes to mind, I feel.
Sorry, like, I was thinking in Korean, like, that's asking me, like, to give him the lobby host back. Like, I was like, am I host? Why am I host? I don't know. But anyways, what were you asking me?
Like, on Frost, if you win on Frost, you can eat ice cream.
Oh, right, yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Like shaved ice, pop
yeah,
mixer
but
or something.
What do you get on Whirlwind? There's not a whole lot that comes to mind.
I don't know. You shake the soju bottle, make a tornado. You know what I mean?
If he goes for bottoms up with a bottle of soju, that would be quite impressive. And then play his game. I'm not quite sure if that's actually even allowed on, like, here.
I don't know if alcohol is allowed in this studio. I know in our previous studio it was not because it was in a school, but I think you can bring alcohol in here. I think I saw somebody have a beer once.
That would be really interesting. If MMA just downs a bottle of soju.
Might not be in his best interest.
Yeah, especially for the next game. Like in the middle of the game, he doesn't suddenly throws up on his keyboard. I'm not quite sure if that would be too nice.
Well, it looks like we're finally ready to go. No more questions here.
You know, the interesting thing is actually that I looked it up, and the 0-2 against HOT was the only recorded Terran versus Zerg that we have for Yongju.
Oh, that's actually pretty interesting how that works out.
And MMA has an 80% win ratio in this matchup. Well, I don't know. Good luck, buddy.
Yeah, this could be extremely one-sided. He's going to have something special planned. Could even be a 6-pool. I don't know. I do not know.
Alright guys, what are we gonna see? Game number 3 here at the GSTL. Axiom-Acer going up against Seoul. MMA against Youngju. Ryung is waiting. He's a knee-jerk Norris. He doesn't sleep, he only waits. He wants to play next, but MMA might be able to take down the Zerg. We're gonna find out right now here at the GSTL. Round1.